Well, this is where you'll start your journey. So to get the seat up, tug it up, push it forward and then lift it over. And then you're going to find it's an absolute bloody midden in this car at the moment. I need to get the hoover in. But you'll find this bit here. Now you might have to cut this, or it might already be available. But behind that is the sender unit access panel. And it's pretty straightforward to get that out. 4 Phillips screws. But you might find that this doesn't come up initially. I have had this removed already because I was a bloody idiot and I filled my diesel car up with petrol, which seems to have started a chain reaction of the tank leaking. So obviously the tank was leaking and the petrol found a way out, or the petrol tank was on the way to leak, and the petrol, being a solvent, found a way through whatever remaining paint was holding the tank together. So yeah, so you might have to get a Stanley knife or a hobby knife, whatever you want to call it, craft knife, and then trim around there. I can't remember if the girl that did the flush of the wrong fuel had to cut it out or not, but certainly that's where it is. So lift your seat up. Anyway, I'll put that back down. So back of the car, lift the seat up, get access. Well, here we are today. Underneath the back seat, obviously you fold your seats forward, there's this flap. You lift that flap and then there's the cover for the sender unit. So I've got to undo the 4 Phillips screws here. That's the first thing I'm doing. I haven't changed a fuel tank since 2005, 2006 on my mum's old Mazda 121, so I'm going into this fairly blind, but it looks fairly straightforward. Well, that's the cover slackened off. I've obviously got this connector here. I'll need to look at how you take that off, and then I've obviously got two hoses to disconnect, so I'll need to look at that. Okay, well that's how you get that off. You push that in. So it was there. So on, squeeze that, pull off. Well, there's definitely a little bit of a technique to getting these clips off. So this part locks it in place, so you lift that up. Sorry, I've just had to do that again. So that's it locked. Pull that out and then press down on this lever, and then you can pull it off. So I'm just going to try that again. So I've pulled that up, I've locked it. You getting them off? Yeah, they're coming now. I had to figure out how the clip worked, but I'll need 2 hands for this. Funny things like. So that's both of them unclipped. I say when you put it back on, you're going to push that in. So this part locks it, lift it up, releases it, and then you'll need 2 hands to, obviously that's going to go over that lip and lock on. So that's that. So it's the inside of the car. So cover removed, 4 screws to take out. You've got this connector. It's got the tongue there. Let's see, push it in. That inner part there obviously clicks in here, and then it should come out. So that's where we are. Next thing is to put the car up and then have a look at the straps underneath. Well, here we are, we're raising it up. Getting some big air. Well, here we are, we're underneath. So there's going to be one, I don't know if it's a 17mm or something there. One here. This is obviously where it's rusting here through this seam. Then we've got a 10mm, I think. Yep, 10mm there. And then we've got, presumably that'll be a 17 or something there. And then there's one that's really easy access there. So that's the next thing. So we're going to drop this down a bit. It's disconnected from the top. I would imagine the most difficult part will be these connections here, I'm guessing. So I've actually removed that entire cover just to make sure I'm not getting hanked. So you've got 10mm nut here, 10mm nut, 10mm nut, 10mm nut and a 10mm nut. And that gives me nice clear access to that bolt. So the next thing will be see if these bolts can get loosened off easy enough, and hopefully that's the case. Right, so for some strange reason this one's a 13mm. Oh well, that's handy, my phone's ringing and it's in the car at the top. So this one's a 14, this one's a 14, and this one's a 14. Well, we reckon this is where it's actually leaking. So obviously the strap came over that and it appears to be leaking somewhere there. I've just unbolted two 10mm bolts holding this pipework there on. The next thing we're going to try and do is get in and get these two, I don't know if it's a flow and return pipe, but that's the next step. Right, so we've basically taken off those clips. This one was pretty rusty, that one disintegrated, and this one, it was your finger you used, wasn't it, Colin? Aye. Came off with the finger, so all these are disconnected. I've undone that hose which comes from that one and it's clipped in there. So the next thing we're going to do is drop it down a wee bit and see if we can lever it off the hoses with a screwdriver or a pry bar.
We're going to get in with that, the right angle or not. Straight screwdriver, I think.
There's a big one there. So here we are, we'll try to get in there. No movement.
I can't see. I'll get my glasses on. Whatever I've done.
I think maybe you've moved it a mil or two.
Aye. Trouble is I'm blind in one eye and I can't see in the other.
Well, on the plus side, the fuel filler one has come off very easily. Colin's just about to try a pair of Plumbers Grips. See if he can kind of twist it a wee bit and hopefully break the seal. Aye, that's wiggling, definitely. Oh, I'll need to grab it, I'll need to hold the tank. Well, this is what the tank looks like. It's pretty crispy. This is something we're obviously going to have to pull out. Feels like it's clicked in. Plenty corrosion. This clip, I think, just clips onto the other side, so we'll need to figure out how to get that off. But yeah, there's no shortage of rust. You can definitely tell a lot of road mess is accumulated at the front. That's at the back, sorry. Well, there we have it. Well, there's a comparison of old versus new. So this is the old rusty fucker, and this is a nice new shiny one. So as I say, it comes with a new set of gaskets, so I'm going to have to obviously take out this, and I'm going to have to take out that, and then I'm going to have to see how that clip goes from there over to here. I do notice it's in a different position. It's there on that one, which is not the same as that, but I don't think it'll make any difference. And then you've got these pads. Obviously there's no pads like that on here. There is a slight difference there. I don't have that on this one. Well, that's the sender unit bolted in. It did actually come with new Phillips screws, but if there's a problem with rust, I'd rather be dealing with a hex head than a Phillips. So that's that. I'm not sure how critical some of these differences are, so turn this round slowly. So one thing that's been noticed is this inset here. That's presumably for when the car turns over, it stops the fuel coming out, or anti-siphon, something like that. Well, that orifice is wider than this one, so that won't fit in there anymore. I don't know if that's going to be an issue with the hose pipe, but hopefully not. We've got this bracket here, which isn't on there, and then, as I say, this bracket is on this side and not that side, but I don't think that's critical. And then obviously you've got these pads, so I'll just need to do something with these pads, but I don't think any of it's going to be a major hassle, other than the fact that I'm not going to be able to refit this. But anyway, that's something just to see how it works. But I'm sure as long as the fuel's coming in and going out as it should through here, it shouldn't be an issue. And when you come to fit this, it's pretty straightforward because, well, as we know, this is the back of the car. This was at the back of the car at the seat. So these markers here will tell you exactly how you need to turn it, and then these line up in preset holes, so you can't really go too far along, so you've got to align that and that to get it to fit. Right, so we've loosely fitted in the tank. Next thing is obviously to start putting these connections on. So there's 3 pipes. Straps are just on loosely at the moment. Actually, I don't think that pipe clip's obviously going to be a complete and utter, I think, waste of time. Yeah, it's too far across, so that on this particular tank is useless. But anyway, now we need to see if we can get the hose connections made, and then once the hose connections are made, once those are made, we'll strap the tank up properly. Well, I think that's mission complete. So put Jubilee clip on there, Jubilee clip on there, and then the small one has a Jubilee clip on it as well. As I say, this pipe clip is not going to be of any use, but I don't think it's really required. That's going to get bolted into place there next. Well, once I get the tank up. So it's ready for putting the strap on and then getting it bolted into place. Well, that's it all bolted in. The 14mm bolt there, the 13mm, the 14 and the 14. What I found was if you put this in too far, you might struggle to get that one in. The strap on the right hand side with the 13mm, that went in no problem at all. Nothing stopping it whatsoever. So the next thing is I'm going to have to bolt in this pipe, whatever that's for, this bit. That's just, I think, 10mm. So that should be easy enough. And then once that's done, it'll be a case of dropping the car down and seeing how it goes from there. So that's the tank bolted in place. I put a little bit of Underseal on the tank. I've put this cover back on. That's the 10mm nuts. So there's one there, two here, and one in the corner. So that's that. Now it's a case of bringing it down and putting some fuel in. Well, that's the finished product under the car. It looks a bit shiny, but I actually had a can of Underseal, so I sprayed a bit of Underseal on. And as far as I can tell, everything is fine. It looks dry anyway, according to the gravel. I did notice where I normally park the car that the fuel had continued to leak, although I didn't notice that. I'll show you. This is where I usually park my car, and I noticed yesterday there was a bit of, it's maybe hard to see in the light, but you can see the shine maybe on some of those stones. That was obviously the diesel continuing. You can see the difference. There's the dry part and there's the wet part. But yeah, that was obviously continuing to drip out. I don't know what the hell this is of. But anyway, back to the car. It's suitably dirty, definitely needs a wash. So what did I think about the job? It is very, very fiddly, just because of the hoses. So obviously you've got your fuel tank hose comes down at the back and then it goes round here and then onto the tank. But it's not hellishly difficult and it's not really particularly hard to do. But the hoses are a bit fiddly, and I would expect that most of the hose clips will be pretty badly corroded. So make sure you've got a few spare Jubilee clips or the correct hose connectors. We just used Jubilee clips, which hopefully will be fine. And another piece of advice would be, if you're lifting up the new tank with the opening, be careful because it's actually very sharp. Wear gloves or something. Other than that, obviously there was a few differences with the old tank and the new tank. Don't think that's going to cause any real issues, but time will tell on that front. But if you're attempting this job, try and get up as high as possible, and make sure you're working safely. If you've got any questions, just ask and I shall try to answer them. Okay, cheers then. Nice sunny day here. Blue skies. Can't complain too much.